Believe it or not, it's the only thing that actually works really well.
What's that?
You can adjust those stupid little flips that don't even make anymore.
Microphone too?
Huh?
So the microphone picks you up from that far?
Yeah, everything picks up that far. It's really the best $80 you can spend. What's really funny is because we were filming the phone deal yesterday, and and Kitty comes in and does the chest right in front of the camera, and then Steve takes the fan and puts the fan in front of it. You see me just moving stuff all out of the way. It was kind of funny. Anyway, let me tell you what one of the reasons why today's training is not so much go through the script, but to go through several different things. Number one is how you doing so far? What are the objections? Give me all the feedback that you're getting, what you're hearing, what you want to know, so we could know how to get to step 2, how to move forward. All right, and I revised the script and I looked at several other options. But you want to just slip that door? Looked at several other options of what other stores are doing and how they're doing, so we could see how to make it better. Because as we go through this, as time goes on over the next 60 days, only one thing that's going to happen is you guys are just going to get better and better on the phones. Simple as that. Whether you continue doing this or don't do this, it's just going to make you personally better at answering the phones and get rid of that phone fear that you could have. You just pass these down. Make sure everybody's got a couple. Guys got enough there? Oh. Okay, before we get into this, do you have? Sorry. And as you notice, we changed the last paragraph for a reason, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. But first of all, I just want to give you an update. Everybody, look at the board. These are not exact numbers, but they're about. We've called about 16,000 people. We've hit 9,368 voicemails. 466 people you've actually talked to. We've got over 60 appointments. We're tracking them now to see what some of the results are that are coming in. And what's going to happen as these voicemails come in, like what happened to you, as these voicemails start getting answered, off of that, on the off times, 35 to 40% of those people start to call back in. If they got a call today and we hit their voicemail, they may not call today. They may not call for a day or two, and then all of a sudden you get a phone call coming in through the switchboard or whatever other number. The thing is that you got to remember is this program doesn't just work in a 2-hour period. It works 24/7. So whenever that call comes in, is when you script it or don't script it, the whole point is to get to an appointment. And one of the things I want to talk to you about before we get into some of the feedback, which is what I want to hear, is the number one point is talk. I've heard and I'm not saying anything negative or positive about anybody, okay? But like some of the ways I've heard Ron talk on the phone and Chris talk on the phone is they're talking to people like a human being, like their friend. If somebody gives you their name, say, who am I speaking with? Well, my name is George Bush. Say, okay, George, call them by their first name unless they tell you to call them by their last name. If they say, my name is Mr. Johnson, you call him Mr. Johnson. If they say, my name is Al Johnson, call him Al. Use their first name. It personalizes the situation and the phone call. You want to get it from being this up here, professional, super professional, conversation, bring it down here to a personal level. You want to talk and have a conversation like a friend. Ron was talking to somebody and talking to him in a tone that made me believe that he was talking to somebody that he personally knew. He did not know who they were. It was just a fresh phone call. You don't want to sit there and go through the script like you're reading it like it's canned. You want to make it flow. You want to make it, I don't care if you use every single word. The script is the script. Stick to it by its basics, but put your own personality into it. It makes the conversation flow better. Like Chris Bennett was talking to somebody and they were laughing and joking on the phone. He found something in the situation to make people laugh or joke around in the call, but the guy made 3 appointments one after another. Why did he do that? Because he was talking to the customer. He wasn't talking at them. He was having a conversation. And that's the biggest thing you want to do, is make it personal. That's going to make everything flourish for you 10 times over, no matter what you do. The second thing is information. You want to get as much information out of the customer as possible before they come in. The year, make, model, the payments, who they're financed with, I mean, all the different things. If you know, and this goes against the grain of everything I ever knew about, but if you know they're driving a 2005 Ultima and they owe $15,000 on the car, are they buried? Mm-hmm. And if the next part of the conversation you know they have absolutely no money down and they're financed through Drive, do you really want to get that customer to come in here? Now that's a question that I'm not going to answer, because that's up to your management. Okay? But you make your own decision from that point. The whole point is to bring people in that you could watch the new set of taillights go out on 610. That's the whole point. That's the whole point to doing any of this at all. So you want to get as much information. You also want to get into part of the road to sale, which is their needs and their wants. After you get into it and you start making an appointment, or you find out, you know, what direction you're going in the conversation, if they say, yeah, I'm driving a Nissan Sentra, but hey, you know what, I'd like to get into something bigger. Well, what were you considering? Maybe an Ultima or a Maxima, or did you want to go to a crossover or an SUV? Have some idea, because the more information you get out of the customer and the more you put on paper into your appointment log, how much more solid of an appointment is that? It makes it more solid, because the more information they give you starts bringing reality to the conversation, becomes reality to the appointment, becomes reality. By the time they get here, people have this predetermined notion of what they're going to do and what's going to happen during that list of current events that's going to come up in the next couple hours before they come in here. And that's going to be, if they've made up their mind that they're going to go home with a new car, it's going to happen. Or if they made up their mind that they're going to be 50-50 about it, you're going to bring them over to your side of the room and start getting that 50% in your favor, so you see a new set of taillights. The next thing, obviously, part of the phone thing is not to sell or try to be salesy or sell over the phone. Okay, that's not the point of this. The point of it is just to make a very solid, confirmed appointment. It doesn't matter if the appointment's for today or January 5th. Make the appointment. Your part of that process is to make sure you follow that up, stay on that customer, confirm it, email it, do whatever you got to do. Make sure they're here on January 5th. That's the whole point to it. Okay? The next thing is part of when I've heard it many times, because I've done this 1,000 times, is after you talk to a customer, if they're going to pass on the savings for themselves, part of that conversation is you got to tell them, say, hey, I have $1,123 sitting here. That belongs to you. What do you want me to do with the money? What do you want me to do with it? Do you want us to keep it? Or do you want to give it to a friend, family member, or coworker to pass on that savings to them? What does that tell that customer?
That it's true. It's real.
Yes, it brings reality into the conversation.
And they're giving something up.
When somebody says to you, you know what, hey, I appreciate it, I'm just not interested. Hey, that's it. Is that a negative? They say, I'm just not interested. I'm not interested in anything. Is that a negative?
Usually it's what they're saying.
Yes, it is a negative. Because they're not doing what you want them to do. That's okay. That's going to happen 150 times a day. Well, what do you do to turn a negative into a positive? You got to be ahead of the curve. What do you tell them? You tell them, hey, I totally understand that, and I can appreciate that. Thank you for answering the phone call, but what would you like me to do with the money? They're going to say, what? what would you like me to do with the $1,123.98? Do you want us to keep it? Or do you want to pass it off to a friend, family member, or coworker? What would you like to do? Now what does that do to the conversation? It puts 100% spin on it. 100% spin. Anybody in this room ever play baseball? In baseball, if you keep throwing fastballs, eventually somebody's going to hit it. And somebody's going to hit it out of the park on you. So what do you keep doing? You throw some curves, you throw some change-ups, you do different things to strike the guy out. This is the same premise. When you're having a conversation, me and James are having a conversation, what do I want James to do? I want James to do things my way. But I want James to think it's his idea. Because if it's his idea, he's going to do it. So how do I change the conversation? No matter what objection comes through, you could throw that curveball into the situation by making them do it, by thinking it's their idea and having them do it your way. When you say that to somebody, what would you like me to do with the money? Somebody's just going to say, hey, I don't care what you do with it. What are you going to do with that guy? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So what do? You move on. Don't worry about him no more. Click, he's gone, move on to the next one. Next phone call comes in, the guy says, well, you know, he's going to start thinking, well, wait a minute, that's my $1,123. I don't want to give it up so easy. He may turn around because it's happened 1,000 times and say, well, how does this work again? And you go into your part of the script. Or you may say, well, just like the email I got back that said, well, can my son use this money? What does that tell you? If somebody says, hey, well, can my sister use this? What does that tell you? Car sale. Any answer that they give you in any leg of this deal that says, well, can so-and-so use this, or can this person use it? What does that tell you? It's a car sale. It's a road to the sale right there. It's an automatic. It's an absolute automatic. Do you not agree? They're giving you away. They're absolutely giving you away. So now, did you actually get any phone calls the last couple times, or did you? Okay. Let's start. Why don't you give me some feedback and some things. I don't really need to hear anything good because I listen to them all day anyway. So give me some of the negatives that you've heard. Ron, we'll start with you.
All right. When I ask them for their name, they give me their name. When I ask them for their phone number, you already got my phone number. Why you need it?
That's how I look up the record. I've said that so far, and they always change and give it to me.
Absolutely. You just tell them, say, well, that's how we look up your record to see your information. Because I'm getting this over a phone call, and that's the only way I can do it.
And your number is.
And your number is. Simple as that. A lot of people will say that, you can get it 50-50. But basically, that's how we look up your record. And what was your phone number? And they're going to give it to you. Now, you know you're not looking it up, but that's the way they get their phone number, so we know who they are, and obviously from there. What? Anything else?
The only other thing is, I had 2 or 3 customers say, well, my vehicle's in the service department right now. And then I had another customer that said, I never used your service department for 3 years. I just purchased a car from you about 2 or 3 months ago. So what are you talking about?
Perfect. Perfect. It doesn't matter. Does it matter if they use us for 1 month or 3 years? No. Doesn't. Say, I understand that. Your answer should be, I understand that you've only been to our service department 1 time, but you're still getting the benefit of $1,123 just because you've been there. We've averaged the money out because other people have been there also. So they've contributed to your pot of gold. Yes?
Or you can add to say, hey, well, you're on the top of the list with all our customers that we've had the last 36 months. So just give me a call to give you the opportunity to be able to receive your voucher.
I would definitely say, I mean, that's not a bad thing to say, but I would definitely say it doesn't matter how much you've spent in our service department, or you just did it a month ago or 6 months ago. You've been to our service department. We average out the money. you're still entitled to $1,123. How would you like to use it? What was the one you said before that? Oh, I've never been to your service department.
Yeah.
I've never been to your service department ever in the history of my life. What does that tell you? That somebody in their family has used that phone number,
exactly.
because otherwise we wouldn't have that guy's information.
Yeah, I had that same situation, and he said, I said, well, someone in your family, they do have a Nissan. Well, yeah, my son, but I said, well, you must have used your number.
Exactly. Well, my son has a Nissan, my wife, my daughter, my cousin, whatever. Somebody in your family has used that phone number, and that's why we have it. But since we have your name, you're attached to that phone number, you now have the benefit
When
of
they
that
gonna
number.
give me, they say, I'm not gonna give you, why you want my phone number, you already have it. I just bypass it and continue through the script. But then, if they are interested, then I get the phone number. I ain't gonna beg them for no phone number. They says, you already got my phone number, how did you call me? No problem, sir, and I go through the.
And that's not bad, but what you should do, it's gonna make it more effective for you. Every little tiny piece, it's like, every little tiny piece is a little tiny dot that may mean nothing to you right that second, but at the end of the day, it becomes a huge bullseye. So every little thing you say is what constitutes to the end result. This is designed psychology-wise perfectly in almost every aspect, and it's not perfect, to get people to the end result. It's like leading a horse to water. You know what I mean? You got to bring him down so far and so away till you get to the end. One of the things is when they say, well, you called me. Why do you need my number? Because that's the way I'm going to be able to look up your information so I can further help you.
Well, you already got my number, so why should I give it to you?
Then if you feel comfortable about just moving on, you'd move on. And if they say that again, say, yes, sir, I understand that, but this will help me further you in our conversation and the offer that we're gonna have for you. And what was your number? Sometimes you might have to say it twice. Most people aren't so negative about that because they're already doing business with you. Some people like to be a little bit jerky about it and say, well, what do you need it for? You just called me. You know what I mean? They have a little bit of an attitude. You're gonna get past that by the second or third line in the conversation. What have you heard?
Along the lines of, when they asked for phone number, I said, well, just in case we get disconnected.
You can say that. I don't.
And they're spitting it really quick right back at you.
I don't normally condone that, but if that works for you, use it. Perfect. Got no qualms about it. Got to remember, like we said in the beginning of this is for you individually. So whatever works for you, that you're able to obtain the end result, the appointment, as long as we're staying close to this, is fine. Don't change what you're doing. If you're comfortable with it, you just continue to do it. Simple as that. But if you do it either way, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's fine. Anything else?
In that part where you're asking for the name and the phone number, you get those people trying to get to the point by asking what's the purpose of your call. And I still do ask for the name and number.
Yes.
And then I said, well, and now here's the purpose of the call. Might change up a word too, but still.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's totally fine.
Trying to get more conversation.
The whole point to line 1 and 2 is get their name and phone number. That's the number one most important thing. So if something happens in the whole conversation, we can reference it later. If you got to get a hold of the guy, you guys can go punch him in the computer. We have Reynolds or ADP?
UCS.
Oh, UCS. Oh, that's Reynolds. Yeah. So you punch in UCS and punch up their name, and you have all their information in there anyway. So you have it just in case something happens, whatever. That's the reason why you do it. Go ahead.
On my name is, and then you said, who am I speaking with? And what phone number you calling from? That's where I had my biggest hang up. What they tell you, you called me, I didn't call you. Can we switch that? Well, I'm switching it myself. What number are you talking from? Right, I said, what number are you calling from? They say, you called me, I didn't call you.
I got connected.
You don't want to say, I didn't call you.
No, that's what they're saying.
Right.
Because when you ask them, and the phone number you calling from, they'll say, you called me, I didn't call you.
That's correct. And you could say, James had one, tell him what you said. You said, well, just in case we get disconnected, I have your phone number. Or you could say,
Yeah, I relate.
or you could say, well, what I suggest you say is that's how that's how I'm able to pull up your information so I can further assist you. And 99% of the time, either what James said or what I say is gonna overcome that objection of the phone number. And if they still don't wanna give it to you, just move on with the conversation. And sometime in that conversation, they'll give you the phone number.
Yeah, sometimes.
It's 100% during that phone script. If you get past line 1 and 2 as you're going through it, it's 100% that you'll get the phone number.
But last,
One of those two.
I mean, last week, I remember you said, like it's an automated service, pick up your number, and you get called, or you get.
No, you don't want to tell the customer that.
No,
They
I
already
know.
know that. But that's what we do.
Yeah.
Because we have them on an auto dialer, and as these phones are coming in, I have somebody sitting there watching the screens, and we know who's linking back, who's not, and voicemails and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's automated. We don't have 16,000 people picking up the phone calling. So, yeah, they know it's automated because there's a voice recording that comes on there, which is instantaneous. But you want to use either one of those two things. You can say, well, if you feel more comfortable about saying, well, just in case we disconnected, I could call you right back. But I would suggest you use, what does it say? And the number you're calling from, they say, well, why do you need my phone number? You just called me. It's so I can further assist you by pulling up your information. And so I can further assist you by pulling up your information.
I think that 2 or 3% of the people we call, some of them think it's a scam, and that's why you get that conversation and they either hang up, which is gonna happen. You just hang up the phone and bypass it. But if I got a phone call like that, and I know all these scams is going on, I may think it. So don't take it personal, just bypass it. But a lot of people get just not our phone call, but other people's phone calls that's trying to get over on them on the phone. You hear it all the time on the news.
Well, the one thing you gotta remember is we're not calling people out of the blue. We're calling Baker Nissan customers.
Yeah.
Well, I know
So they're getting an automated phone call, not telling you, hey, we need your credit card, we need this, we need that. They're getting a phone call coming from Baker Nissan, okay? They're also getting an email from Baker Nissan. They're also getting a text message from Baker Nissan. So when they do call in, and they're calling in, and you say, that's why they say, good afternoon, good morning, thank you for calling Baker Nissan. This is, John Doe. As far as them thinking it's a scam or something else, it's way down, but are their senses heightened up thinking that you're trying to sell them something? Absolutely. Absolutely. They want to know what's going on. So, in that conversation is why you want to diffuse it right away. And you want to start rolling that conversation around in your own personality, in your own personal way, and having a comfortable, lively conversation with the person as a friend. You want to try to, in 30 seconds, you want to try to establish that friendship with that person by calling them by their first name and all that stuff and moving that conversation forward. That's how that's going to totally blow up any situation of there being negativity. Like what Chris did and what you did, hearing you on the phone, he's not in here, but Alfred, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. He was talking to somebody on the phone, and it just happened to be standing right next to him, and the personality that reflects, that comes through that phone is very open and very lively. You know what I mean? It's that positive that you want to hear. Anything else? RT, go ahead. You had something.
No, it's just like I had got a customer. She said, she just picked up the phone. She was at the hospital. They called the hospital. She was like, yeah, y'all just called me. This is a hospital phone number. And I tried to do the same thing, but she's like, no, it's okay. And she hung up on me.
On a situation like that, when you get somebody, and that's
random,
rare,
yeah,
you say, hey, I understand that you're at the hospital and you're working. Is there a phone number I could call you at later, or what time do you get off of work? Because I do have some good and positive and important information for you. And instead of it just being an ending phone call, oh, well, yeah, you're at the hospital, sorry, goodbye. Try to just get another 30 seconds out of the call and ask you, say, oh, sorry, I understand you're at work. Well, let me ask you a question. Is there a number I could call you at? What time do you get off of work today? Because I do have some important information.
But
for
it,
you.
yeah, that's what I said. But it was kind of a random lady though. It wasn't a lady from Baker News. I was like, yeah, I'm calling on behalf of Baker News. She's like, Baker News? I've never heard of it.
It would have been, because there's, every customer usually has 2 or 3 phone numbers.
Yeah, so it might have been
So
a work
because
number,
that
that's what
phone
I
number
said.
got picked up.
Yeah.
That's why.
And then.
Now, that's really, really rare. I mean, it's like
Yeah, I get
1
it.
out of a million,
Yeah, she was like-
because most of the time, that number, if it connected and was answered, would have been, and the lady that you were talking to pressed 1
Yeah, she
and
pressed
called
1.
back. Most likely, she wasn't being truthful, because most likely that probably was her cell phone.
Yeah.
Because if you're a nurse and you're at a hospital and that phone rang and it was an automated phone call and you didn't know anything about it,
You gonna hang up?
you're gonna hang up. So it was probably something a little different that she wasn't being truthful about, but that's okay. But in a situation like that, when you get somebody, you know, try to spin it again, spin it and say, oh, hey, I understand, didn't mean to bother you. I do have some positive, important information for you. What time you get off of work that I could call you back and give this to you so I'm not bothering you right now?
Yeah. 'Cause I
And
mean-
most people say, oh, no problem, well, and give you that, or they'll give you the time to do it right now. One of those 2 things will happen. You know, you want to be respectful as much as possible. Is it Benson? Good. Did you have anything? No, nothing? John, anything you see or?
Well, no, I don't think, I mean, I do follow-up calls, and one lady was saying she just bought the car recently, you know, so she was trying to figure out why she in a rotation. And then the one lady, and I'll tell you about the one who was so upside down on a 5-year-old loan that,
Really, still?
when we told her we keep our payments the same, she was like, oh, hell no, I don't want the same payment. So I said, well, no, I said, we definitely probably lower yours. So it's just, you know, I mean, granted, if the guys knew, you know, a little more about them, it'd be easy, because some of them get scared when it's, like, in this case anyway, our payment was still like $800 some. And she didn't want that. Yeah, she wanted a lot lower when the service. So I keep getting the same thing, no worry about just coming in. She was like, oh, no, hell no, I don't want that.
That's I'm glad you brought that up. That's perfect. That's why number 2 is information. When you're talking to somebody, you want to drag as much of that information out as possible. So when you end up with a situation like that, when she says, I'm paying $800 a month, and she's dying every month, stroking that check, and you come in and you tell her, well, if we could lower your payment, would that make it, you know, would that help you? And she says, oh, absolutely. She's going to be running in here, and that's what you want to do. Now, whether you can actually sell her a car or not, nobody knows. You know what I mean? You don't know if that person has $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 to put down to turn around a situation. I have seen everything from people being 20 grand upside down on a car, and I'm not joking, on a car probably worth 5, to, you know, somebody coming in on a drive deal that's a 400 Beacon that, you know, can put $15,000 down because they're not paying anybody else, so they got plenty of money in the bank, and they're putting it down on the car. Never assume anything. That would be the catastrophic mistake. And the reason why we're going through that is for a situation like that. Lady's $800 a month. If you tell her, hey, you know, what if we get you somewhere $500 a month? You don't know. You could be holding a $7,000 back end. Is she going to pay that? You could be maxed out on the deal and have every product on the world and be at $500 a month on that particular deal because she's putting down money, she's got rebate money, she's got everything, and she's ecstatic to pay $500 a month. And you just made a home run. You don't know. Angel?
Pretty much the same with what everyone's saying, and just trying to fight all the objectives the best way possible. You know, I mean, worst case scenario, I hung up because they just being too bullheaded, but I tried. You know, I mean, and it's working. You know, I just trying to figure out, because you said this was a script that's been guaranteed to work. I'm wondering if you got it like off of Goodfellas or something.
Goodfellas?
Oh my, I feel so. You know what I'm saying? No gangster movie.
No.
Forget about it, huh?
So,
Yes.
so, well, I guess we gotta ask the managers. Like some people, they wanted a new car. like she said, she told me what kind of car she drove, and she told me that she wanted to make a new car. She wanted to look at a new car. So I would just give that to my manager, and he would just pass it off to somebody else.
That's an internal thing?
That's why.
No, what you do in that case is you make the appointment.
Yeah.
Customer comes in and sees you.
Right. That's what.
Okay, and then we would change.
Okay.
But it's still your appointment, it's still your half a deal.
Okay.
You went through the trouble of getting the customer here, all right?
All right.
So don't think that
No, I understand.
everything you've done there's, no, still make the appointment, still have them ask for you. Because you know what brought that customer in.
Right.
You know that when we pencil that deal, we've got to put the 11/23/98 in it, okay? Now, if I may.
Please.
I had I took phone calls yesterday for the first time because we were a little short-handed with people being sick. First objection I really got was the guy just out of the blue had listened to my spiel, and his name was Tom, and he said, "What's your catch?" And I said, "There's not one. There's not one." And the only reason I brought it up is I wanted y'all to hear somebody say that.
Yeah.
And you say there's not one. You come in, you buy either a new or a pre-owned car, you get $1,100, and let me round it off, $1,124 worth of credit on that car. And that's it. Well, I don't need a car. I said, great, you got anybody in your family? It's, well, maybe my son. And he didn't know for sure if his son had it. I said, you can transfer it to your son. Let me give you my direct number so your son can call me. If you know, because then he went into a whole list of used cars. Sure, we have those. Sure, we have those. The second was, I picked up a phone call from a Patricia Nunn, and she was an elderly, I could tell by her voice, elderly black lady. So what did I call her?
Ma'am.
Miss Patricia. Miss Patricia. Okay? If you're old like me and people call me Mr. Kenny, she's Miss Patricia. Okay, so I always called her Miss Patricia. Who are you calling from? Miss Patricia, I'm calling from Baker Nissan. Is that Baker Jackson Nissan? I said, it used to be, ma'am. And she goes, I'll never buy another car from Baker Jackson Nissan. And I was thinking, oh great, here I go again.
I would have said,
All right,
that's
we got rid of
fantastic,
Jackson.
man, we got rid of Gabriel.
No. I said, why? I said, why do you say that? And we got into it. And what happened was she had $8,000 flipped on her last car. She had an 08 Sentra that she came in. I finally talked her into coming by for give me 30 minutes, let me appraise your car. She thought she owed 11 on it, well she owed 14. So I couldn't quite close the gap, but she understood it. And she was so appreciative of somebody sitting down and talking with her. And a year from now, when she's ready to do it, she's coming back to Baker Nissan. And the reason I bring that up is, don't give up. Just talk to her. And you know, like Don said, it's talking. And she came in last night and she spent maybe an hour with me and Ed. She had a 2008 Sentra she brought new here. Guess how many miles was on it? 17,000. 17,000 miles. I was figuring in my head when I was talking to her on the phone, that's an $8,000 car. I got an $8,000 bid. Okay? If she had owed 11, she'd have driven out in a new car. But she owed 14, 4. And so we couldn't get there. But she understood that, and she didn't know she owed that much. So we were able to give her information, and make us a customer for down the road. Plus, she tells everybody that she works with in the medical center that we are nice people, instead of, I'll never buy another car from them because they raped me.
Yep.
All right? So, my thing is, just don't give up. You guys are all full of bullshit. I sit around and listen to you all day long. Okay? Just pretend that that's who you're talking to.
I find that offensive, Kenny.
Well, it's true. We all BS with each other all the time. All you're doing is talking to, as Don said, a human being.
Yes.
Another old lady I talked to, and I said, she goes, ma'am, she says, you know, I'm old. I'm not going to buy another car before I die. And I said, okay. I said, do you have any family? And she says, no, I don't have any family. do you have any friends? No, I don't have any friends. And I said, why don't you call me once a week just so we can talk?
Yeah, she will.
I said, you need somebody to talk to. But, I mean, that's, because I know all you guys.
Change the
You all
culture,
talk.
yeah, change the culture and let them know that you care.
Yeah, I mean, that's, hey, we've got to stand out some way. And the only way you can stand out is how you personalize yourself to that person on the phone. All right? I mean, just go with it.
He can't be more right. And I'm going to add one more thing to it. Whether you think it or not, I will tell you right now, I've been in a minimum of 140 dealerships. Minimum. And I'm probably really light on that number. The grass is not greener on the other side. It's the same grass. It is not. So you might as well plant your feet where you're at. Plan to be here for the next 20 years or whatever it is that you want to do. If this is what you decided to be here, if this is what you decide to do for the rest of your life, which is a good decision, then Baker Nissan should be your home for the next 20 years and start doing what Kenny did and start building for the future. If this lady that's $14,000 upside down, or whatever, 7,000 upside down, every time she makes a payment, she gets closer and closer to the promised land. So next year, you got somebody in the future that now you have a relationship with again. So the phone call fixed your relationship and now gave you back a future customer that you would have lost. So that's somebody put in the prospect list for maybe October of next year. Call her again. Hey, how you doing? And hi, Miss Patricia. And go on and forward. You're building your future. There's nothing wrong with having a pipeline full of customers. And this is what's going to generate that for you. We all want immediate gratification. We all do. That's how we're built. But along with immediate gratification, we need future gratification. And that's going to come through building this pipeline, like he said. Be a human being. You're talking to human beings. Let's, well, you didn't take any phone calls yet, right, did you? Not really.
Not yesterday. He was here last week.
Oh, last week you did. Anything that you, no?
Yesterday was my first day participating, and now that I have a revised script, it's just a matter of doing it and being comfortable with it.
That's the thing what's going to happen to you. As time goes on, you get better and better and more comfortable with it. That's why we do it twice a week. So we might cut down the time a little bit so you're not overwhelmed. Twice.
3 times, is it
We're not
Tuesday,
doing
Wednesday,
Tuesday,
Thursday?
Wednesday, Thursday?
No.
Just Tuesday,
We're just
Wednesday.
doing that now. In January and February, we're going to be doing 2 days a week.
Okay.
We haven't figured out what your best days are, maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays, just to try to get that center of the week built up. But that's what it'll end up being. Yes?
Something I just thought about, because the day after you do this, we'll get people that'll call and they'll just say, oh, wrong phone number. If we start asking to get their name, so that way we can basically sign off on the check we have waiting for them, I think that wrong phone number might change a little. They may say, wait a second, what? You have a check for me?
Absolutely.
And so that's what I'll start doing now, because
That's one thing.
Check.
Take
We have
away.
a voucher.
Oh, I got a question.
Voucher.
Yeah, go ahead, RT.
But we say we have a
I
check
heard,
waiting for
I
them.
heard Ashley telling people like they can use it as their down payment and stuff.
No.
And I told her, I was like, nah, I didn't think you could do that. And then I told her that, and she was like, cause I've been telling people you can use it down. Well, I don't wanna put it out there.
That's why it's important to be
I
in
kinda
these
did
training
already.
sessions.
But I kinda did, but yeah.
I don't
she
think
was
she's
good.
ever been to a training session.
I don't think she is either. Cause I remember you telling us, I was like, you can't, I didn't think we could use it cause they have to see it, once it knocked off the price, you put the price and you put that they have the voucher and you put that and you knock it off and stuff. They don't count as a down
It's a
payment.
discount.
It's a discount, that's what I thought.
It's in Texas, we have to use it as a discount.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, in a lot of places in the rest of the country, they actually cut people a check back for that money. So I have a dealership, because of the way their program works, their check number is like $1,700, and they cut people check. It's a Toyota store in New England that, you know, and some in New York and some in New Jersey, because it's legal there. You can do that. There's no, in Texas, there's a thing called no rebate.
Right.
You're actually, and I'm not even gonna tell you that part, but forget it, because he'll freak out. But yeah, there's no rebating in Texas of any kind, so none. So that's why you cannot use it as a down payment. In other states, you can use it as a down payment and as actual cash back. You won't believe people lining up for that deal. I wish we could do it in Texas, because you cut check back for people in Christmas, You'd have everybody signing up for a car, and that's, we wish we could do it, but we can't. We gotta make sure you guys stay compliant on everything you're doing, but no, you don't wanna ever say the word down payment, cause it's not. You wanna make sure it's a discount. 99% of the people you talk to on this phone call in this script, it's not gonna come up. It just doesn't. It's gonna come up when you're in the store. That's when it usually comes up. Any other, did you have anything?
No.
No?
Just, and I have
Go ahead.
like some random guy, he was telling me, why y'all call it a service voucher if I can't use it in service? It's like, I just told him, well, so we got it from service, they giving you the money, from service, so that's why it's called a service voucher.
Perfect answer. That's exactly what you're supposed to say. Good job. Good job. That's exactly what you wanna say. That's what it's from. It's from you being a loyal service customer. We're letting you use this money to upgrade your old vehicle to a new vehicle. That's what it's for. So you can help you with $1,123 to make that transition. Andrew, man.
No, I already should. Oh,
Let's go over the bottom part of the script. Okay? Once you get through the script part, and you get to, I'm gonna start off here, with your service voucher of $1,123.98, you could be in a great position to upgrade your vehicle today. Mr.
What are you currently driving? What year, make, model, and your payments are you at right now? What if I can get you into a new car today with the same or lower payments, with no money down? How's that sound? What time do you think you like, or what time would you like to come in?
Now, and that's right, now that's part, okay? This is all your own language. That goes on, does anybody have a phone line? No, that's all right. Basically what that part of it is this, okay? Is this phone log. So how you're really gonna say it is what are you currently driving? You wanna say it as a question. Now, you could say it, well, what are you currently driving? Like,
What kind of
or
car
you could
driving?
say, what are you currently driving? You see the difference there? What are you currently driving? Like, out of curiosity, more than the statement, you want to make it sound curious, they're going to say, well, I'm driving a Nissan Altima. Great. What year is it? Now, you already have the year, make. What model Altima? Is it GXE? What is it? You know, it's 2.5. What is it? And what are your payments now? Well, I'm paying $336 a month. To who? Is to who an important question?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Real important. If they're paying it to Nissan, pretty good chance, we can look it up in about 30 seconds. Now you got your name, their phone number, you know what the car is, you can pull it up in UCS, get their VIN number, put their VIN number in dealer track, bam, you got a payoff, right? Right there, you already know how much money they owe on the car before they get here. And if you know what year, make, and model, and how many miles are on the car, and you have a payoff before they get here, do you not have a leg up on the deal?
Yeah.
That's the point.
Oh, so you do ask them, who they're paying, cause I mean, I didn't see it on.
No, what it is, this is the phone log, and then this is the script, and you guys haven't,
Oh, it's on the new one.
you guys haven't meshed the two together yet.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do here today, to get you to encrypt these two so you flow better, so your appointments are more solid. Look, it's great to make 40 appointments, but if you have no information on 30 of them, you're missing the gap. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So you say, what year, make, and model? What are your payments? Okay, your payments are $336. To who, may I ask? It's always respectful to say, may I ask? And I really implore that you say that, may I ask? And they're gonna tell you, whoever it is, okay? Then you say, it's not in here, you should write this in here, and I'll fix it for you. I have an idea. What if I could get you into a new car today with the same or lower payments? That's your hook.
With no money
How
down?
does, with no money down, and how does that sound to you? What are they gonna say? Great.
Got me
Now,
straight.
of course, that changes when it comes into the dealership. Why? Because everybody's situation is different. If a guy comes in here and he owes $5,000 on a $15,000 car, and he's buying a new car, and he's an 800 Beacon, does he need money down? No. So everybody's different. It doesn't matter. So by you making that statement, it's a generalization because you don't know, and we're not going to assume. We're going to assume everybody qualifies in that particular category, right? So how does that sound to you? Well, yeah, sure, that sounds great. Okay, what time would you like to come in today? The only part that I didn't write in here is I have an idea, and if you would, write that in there because that's important. And then when you're taking the information on the car, you want to put it onto the phone log. And you just write, I have an idea anywhere because I'm going to be gone for a couple hours before I come back at 2 o'clock. And I'm going to put that in here, the script for you to repass these out. But I want everybody to have a copy of these.
That's right after you say, with no money down, how's that sound?
No, it would be,
Right before, if I
payments.
can.
no, it's
After
after the
payments.
payments, your information, then it's the comma. Before what? It should say, I have an idea. What if I could get you into a new car today with the same or lower payments? That's after you've gotten the information. So now if the information you got and the lady's paying $800 a month, do you want to say same? No. You want to say, what if I could get you in a new car today with lower payments? Of course she's going to say, who's going to say no? Who in their right mind's going to say no? Somebody's paying $600, $700, $800 a month on a car and you tell them, hey, what if I get you into a new vehicle today with lower payments? Of course they're going to say yes. It's human nature.
She's gonna ask me, what are you, from New York? Y'all see? No.
You, maybe.
Yes, sir. What are you, from New York?
Nah, son. Nah, son.
So anyway, so that's the last line that we want to change up and try today and see how your calls progress and how much more appointments you can actually blast out of this. Because I'm going to load you up today with calls. I'm just letting you, I'm just giving forewarning. We've held back because we could bring in, and I'm not kidding, we could bring in upwards of 500 phone calls an hour if you can handle it, or more, but we don't. So right now you're running about 230, 240 in that 2-hour span. And that's because we're regulating on that. Yeah, in that 2-hour span. So we're going to cut your time back about 15 minutes, give you about an hour and 45 minutes today, and we're going to increase the phone traffic and have you go through this a little bit more in depth and work on the information part and gathering that information and making your appointment more solid and turning those objections around. So I call, was that?
Julio.
Julio. Julio, if I'm calling you on the phone, and let's just go through the first line of the script. Okay, the phone rings, you're picking up the phone.
Good afternoon, it's a great day at Baker Nissan South. Thank you for asking to be connected. My name is Julio. Who am I speaking with?
My name is Don.
Okay, Don. And the phone number you're calling me from?
281-555-1212.
Great.
Hey, so what's this about, Julio?
Well, the purpose of the phone call today is to tell you about our service loyalty program.
Well, I'm really not interested in anything. I'm not buying anything today.
I understand, sir. Well, we've been reviewing our service history records here at Baker Nissan. We thought of a way to reward our loyal service customers by offering them a service voucher based on the amount of money that you've spent in our service department over the past 36 months.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just, my car's only a year old, and I appreciate that, but I'm really just not interested.
Okay, sir. Well, I have a voucher here with your name on it in the sum of $1,123.98. What would you want me to do with it?
Very good, very good. That makes me stop and think. What do you mean? You got $1,100 with my name on it? I'm coming to pick up that shit right now. You know what I mean?
Don't have
But
to wait.
that's what you want to do. You want to stop them. You want to stun them. You want to hit them in the teeth and say, I understand you don't like me, you hate me, you're not interested in a car, you bought a car last night. I understand all that stuff. What do you want me to do with the money? Make a decision. I got $1,123 sitting here with your name on it. What do you want me to do with the money? What does that make you do? It makes you react. It forces you to make a decision. You're going to say one thing. You're going to say a couple things. You're going to say, I don't care. Keep it. Stick it. Yeah. What does that make you say if you say, I don't care what you do with it? It means you don't have a customer. And is that okay? Sure it is. Move on to the next guy. Or he's going to say, well, can I save it? Sure, you could save it. When do you wanna use it? Go ahead.
I have that too.
Yeah.
How long is the
How long
program
is it?
last?
Yeah, 'cause
I don't specifically.
Technically, it ends December 31st. Now, as long as they use that money and they want to apply it to somebody, let's say they're going to use it, they have to make a decision on what they're going to do with the money now, before December 31st. They could use it in January, February, March, June, July, whatever. They could use it all year long if they want to, but they have to make a commitment and a decision now where the money's going.
Okay,
Makes
so,
sense.
now I needed that information, cause
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people been asking, well, how long is the program going on? I'm like, it's going on the next 2 months, sir.
Remember, what do you say in the beginning here? It coincide with the holiday season.
Yeah,
This is the holiday season, right?
yeah.
And so this is holiday money. We're still in a holiday.
Martin Luther King Day.
You know, everybody's gonna be popping bottles in a couple, 48 hours. So it's a holiday season. It expires December 31st. You have to make a decision before then what to do with the money. They could use it all year long as they make a
They tell
decision now and a commitment of what to do with it. What does that force them to do? Makes a commitment and make a decision for the future.
Or
Remember?
pass it to somebody.
We got a future. So that's gonna make them well, you know what, my son is not here right now, he's gonna be here on the 3rd of January, can I use it then to help him? Sure. My mother, my brother, my son, my coworker, my this, my that, they can do no matter what, correct? Biggest thing is, to make an appointment, make a commitment, and get the information, okay?
Let me ask you something. You have, I just felt this way, but I don't know if it's right or not. Having an accent, that makes people hang up on you like a lot of times.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
I feel
be
that way.
negative about it, but I'm gonna tell you the absolute truth. Unless you have a phonetically correct grasp on the English language, you have a lot to overcome. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Has an accent, though,
That's
that's
why I
the
brought
thing.
it, because I felt that way, I already
Yes.
did it twice, I got one appointment, which is yesterday, that's about it, But a lot of hanging up, don't call me, remove my number.
And I have a lot of, I can't understand what they're saying, just because,
Yes, I have a
it's
lot of
just
that.
like, what did you say, sir? And I keep on having to read, I'm sorry, sir, how did you say, they tell me a name, I have no idea. And I kinda just wait, if I don't understand it, I might write it down, kinda glimpsely tell me OIND or something, I go, okay, sir, and I write that down. And then if I make the appointment, I go back, oh, sir, and that's how, is this the correct, how you spell your name? Or I make sure I wrote it down correctly. Cause sometimes I have to ask them too many times, and
Don't do that.
That's why.
Let me tell you what you do. If they tell you their name, okay, like there was a phone call that I swear the guy had every letter in his name from the alphabet
Yeah.
on his first and last name, and I had to go back and listen to it at least 6 times to try to even figure out how to spell it down on a piece of paper,
Yeah.
and I wasn't even close. So don't even worry about that. If they give you their name and you didn't get it,
Just keep
move
going.
on.
That's what I
Get
kinda
their
do.
phone number, because
Yeah.
their phone number you can look up in UCS and get all the info anyway.
Yeah, cause sometimes
So-
I might get one name, they might say, my name is so, and I write the first name down, and then I write the number.
What happens if you can't understand what they said with their name? Call them sir,
Yeah,
or call them ma'am.
yeah.
That's all.
That's-
You didn't, just move on, make the conversation flow, get the phone number, get through your deal, and then get through everything else. As long as you get the phone number, everybody can look up their information and get it. It's just that simple. So I can too. So that's the biggest thing. If you miss it, don't sweat it. And yes, you unfortunately are gonna have a more difficult time. So what you have to do is you probably have to slow down your process and speak in a louder, clearer voice to get your point across. And that's just giving you constructive
Right.
advice, because yes, it's gonna happen.
And you guys
What's
sound-
gonna happen is people are rude.
Nothing negative.
So they're not gonna give you the time to get through it. They're gonna disconnect you or hang up on you and tell you they're not interested. They don't even know what they're interested in.
Yeah.
So,
You know what's gonna help? You just gotta sound excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I just wanted to tell you, today is the day.
I have one more question. What about the people that ask us to remove them off the list?
We write them down.
Just write them down and just give me the information, and we will, before we do that, because we don't really wanna do that, we send them a card. Let them know, hey, you know, thank you for being a loyal customer or whatever else, and a little bit of information in there.
Is there
And
any-
90% of the time, no, well, actually, more than that, they don't move off the list, they'll do something else.
Just make a little master list to put on the things, so we can
And
also
some
put them
people
on there.
ask me to mail it to them.
They do ask to
They're
get
like,
taken
"You
off.
mail
Enough
it?"
of them.
You don't have to,
I'm like,
just,
"No, so you
I don't care if it's on a
can't
scratch
use
piece of
it.
paper, just write their name and phone number down, and just, when you see me, just give it to me. And we don't take anybody off the list, because it's Baker Nissan's list in the first place. But what we'll do is, like I said, we send them out a postcard, and just say, you know, just touch base with them in a different way. You know, we don't call them again. We will not call them again, but we'll do through email or something else.
And I'm sorry, if we hang up on a person, that card, it goes right back to our system and comes back to us?
No. It
Because
goes
some
to us.
people said that we hung up on them 3 times. Like, she said, man, I done called this place 3 times. She said, y'all done hung up on me each time. She said, what is this about? And I told her.
They got Angel.
It probably doesn't let it ring more than 4 or 5
Cause she
times.
said, cause I mean, cause I don't understand if I have a Spanish speaker sometimes, I just, like, if I don't have anybody real quick, I just go like that. Then sometimes, you know, I don't know.
There's no such thing, so what happens is people are calling back themselves, because we give them the phone.
That's what I'm saying, they might call, that's what I said, they might call downstairs or something.
They're calling downstairs,
Yeah, yeah.
or they're calling upstairs, depending where it goes, because what happened is when Alex, the IT guy, didn't set it up right, where if a phone call rings more than 4 times, it's
Yeah.
supposed to ring back to the operator,
Yeah.
and then she could give it to anybody she sees in her line of sight downstairs, so
Yeah.
it gets answered.
Ah.
So what's happening is, it went to her, and it either got hung up on or disconnected, so the customers are dialing the number and calling back.
Is there any way we could just have one master list? Because if these people are our clients, that would give them a reason to be able to write about us on Google or the BBB. And if they're unhappy because we call them and they ask to be taken off the list, like if I just write on a scratch sheet of paper, the chances of me seeing you, because I already had one customer like that and I lost it.
What?
So we're probably gonna call that customer back again. I'm just talking to him, not for everybody.
Mark, if you get that, just make a piece of paper yourself, then turn it into one of us.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about the big picture.
Okay, I'm talking about you right now. So.
But the big
so,
picture does affect
Mark,
me. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, cause each person gonna do the little paper, but for you, if you wanna compile a list for yourself, do that. The other guys, what I'm saying.
I wanna control the reputation of the dealership for all of us, you know?
Mark,
Okay, I
all
got it.
I'm saying is that if he's telling us as a store, put on a piece of paper, and we see him, give it to him, that's what we're gonna do. But if you wanna keep a list, cause if you get multiple people, then we need to know that too, you know what I'm saying? Then you give it to us that way. You gotta be instead of you having like 9 or 10 little pieces of paper, you just have one sheet with different names on it. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
And then, and this goes for everybody else. If you guys get multiple people taking the same thing, just write it down on a piece of paper. You know, give it to Kenny, and Kenny pass it on to Don, and then they'll address it accordingly. But I
Yeah,
don't think
because
that-
like I said, a lot of people will be wanting to remove off the list because they were in a bad mood, they're in the middle of fighting with their spouse. You know, a lot of negatives may have been happening in their world at that particular time, and we don't know that, okay? So what we do is we give them an opportunity to really voice their opinion. We'll send them a card, and may have some questions or comments or whatever else, you know, and if they say something negative, we're gonna turn it back to the managers and say, look, here's this lady, Miss Patricia, she said she'll never buy a car from us again, this kind of thing. Here's the information, do what you want with it. And most of the time we'll call them and say, we won't, but the dealership will call them and say, listen, you know, before we remove you off of our list, please tell us what happened, what we did wrong, what we do to correct the situation. And almost every single time, there's something floating in the background that we could fix and handle just like Kenny did and save that customer. Now, we won't call them again, because they've asked us not to. We don't take them off the list, we just put their number in a different category.
And what time we doing this again?
2 o'clock today.
Okay. 'Cause
2 to 3:45.
And we'll be back after 2 hours.
Yeah. So it's already 12:07. Any last
No, sir.
remarks or questions? Anything else? No? All right, see you guys at 2.
Yeah, before y'all get it, remember what Kenny said, take y'all numbers now.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking about, that's what
that's
I'm saying.
Take
Yeah, I'm
y'all
about to
numbers
go.
now.
Get something, you come